Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the GTRC Polyphony Digital Trophy. We're back for the third and potentially final season of this 90s Japanese GT Championship. First instalment of said season at Suzuka. And a lot of changes from this season compared to last season, mostly in the form of teams and driver switches and new drivers. As you'll see, as we just watch Chubbs, this is going to be a new personal best for his qualifier. It is new personal best for this practice session. But just watch here, one of the new drivers in Tobias as he gets absolutely wrecked by Chubbs. But Tobias is one of the new drivers for Nova Motorsport. Chubbs is switched teams. He's now with Team Spirit. And Tyler Davison is now in the LCR team in replacement of Ruben Thorejo. Where's Ruben Thorejo gone? Ruben Thorejo is in a completely new team. There he is there. In his regular, as he's nicknamed, the Chungus, for Team Brown. Team Brown, his teammate, Jake Witchell. So two of them teaming up this season, looking to be a strong team, but the car may be the thing that lets them down. As well as that, what other new drivers do we have? Tyler Davison has joined LCR. Adam Hans has joined Team Spirit. LCR keeps the LCR himself, Luke Clark. And then it's Will Sutters still at 515. And here's Callum. He is a privateer this time, Callum Snell. Stein van der Hart stays at Project One. He's alongside Dominic Kabinski this season. And then it's Adib Khan with a returnee team. Adib and Matty returning for Halex Racing. Halex back in GTRC for their first season in this Polyphony Digital Trophy. And Sam Siltalar is the second 515 driver this season. I believe that is everyone. We have caught everyone. Oh yeah, and there is a C Hill. If someone could tell me his first name, that'd be nice. But it's Cameron. That's it, Cameron. Cameron Hill in P9. But we will look up the grid for the man who is currently first in qualifying, as he is every session, and the man who finished off last season with a win on a high point. Can he start off this season with a win? Only time will tell, but he is going to be the first man to set a lap in this qualifying session. He's just ahead of Callum Snell behind him. We'll watch him as he comes up to Spoon in a very interesting Team Spirit livery, I think it's fair to say. As I was explaining earlier, I was the one that made this, and I was explaining earlier, it's a very Marmite livery. Either you love it or you hate it. He comes through Spoon and up to straight that goes to 130R, and 130R is a bit of a lift, a bit of a dab of the brakes. Going through that corner. See how does he take it. There you go, just dabs on the brakes a little bit, back on the throttle, and we will go on board with him for this first lap of qualifying as he goes through the Casio triangle. Ooh, this is not a great line there. Oh, all over the throttle and the exit there, and maybe that wasn't really the best way to start off your first flying lap. But here we go for the first lap of the new season, and it's Shay Easton to go down into a very difficult turn one, which kind of leads into turn two. You kind of take turn one and two as one corner. A lot of understeer from this Nissan GTR, and it's back on the throttle. He's gone on the grass a little bit there, and then it's through the S's. S is one of the most iconic sections of track on any motorsport circuit in the world. Certainly one of the main characteristics of this circuit, but you got to say there are multiple. This is a legendary circuit. He's back on the throttle, and it's all flat out up until Degner 1, and then the brakes at Degner 2. So there you go, he's dab on the brakes, lift off Degner 1, and then hard on the brakes for Degner 2. And then it's under the bridge and up to the hairpin. Hairpin, which I've forgotten what it's called. He's taken a decent line through there. You want to get on the throttle early, but try to have the best traction possible, and he's done a good job there. And then it's the long flat out run down to Spoon. Spoon, not named after the utensil, it is named after the Honda Tuning Company. This corner, very similar to how you take turn 1 and 2, funnily enough, because this is technically 2 corners. You take it as one, and then it's back on the throttle again, underneath the Panasonic and the Dunlop boards, and over the bridge he just went under. for 130R, one of the most daring corners in motorsport. All over the curb on the exit, and then hard on the brakes into the Casio triangle. Will he make it better this time? Oh, he's missed the apex again for the first section of the triangle. He's kept it all in one piece though, and then it's through the final corner. He's staying up high. He's going for another lap. If you're on the fast lap, you would go down low, so it's a 1:59.6. Easton reckoning that is not the best time, and that isn't, as Jake Witchell has just broken it. So fastest on track right now is Jake Witchell, the lead driver for Team Brown. Or saying that, it's just been broken by Will Sutters in the 515 Honda. And that has been broken by an impressive lap time from Tyler Davison, a 1:58.6 for Team LCR. Tyler, bear in mind, he's been doing a lot of practice for this, as I know for sure. He's been doing the sport races in that car just to get himself acclimatised to racing around this circuit in that car, and it's certainly paid off. There you go, your top 8 at the moment is Tyler Davison for LCR, Will Sutters in the 515 car, and then it is Adib Khan for Halex, Jake Witchell for Team Brown, and then it's the first of the 2 Team Spirit cars in Che Easton. Matty is the second Halex car down in P6, and then Adam Hands with a P7 and Luke Clark in the lead LCR car. But we are going to go straight back up to Will Sutters because it looked like he was on for a quick one. Or maybe that lap's disappeared. Hello Super, by the way, I did see you. Hello Super, good to have you in the chat. Someone who is improving is Tyler Davison in the purple LCR car. Luke claiming that purple is LCR's colour, but I did realise in practice when I was in the party with them lot, this cockpit view is awesome. I love that the roll cage is yellow. I don't know why, maybe I'm the only one, but I think this roll cage being yellow is awesome. But pretty mixed at the moment with which cars are the fastest around here. Currently the order is GTR, Supra, or should I say GTR, Honda, Supra, and then McLaren, and then GTR, Supra, GTR. So the order at the top 4 is very varied. I think really the main thing to stand out is that lap time that Jake Witchell has set. P4 on his first official lap in the McLaren is not too bad. Oh, Tyler's gone wide. Che Easton's just gone for improvement down in P2. So Che Easton moves himself up onto the front row, but no one's coming close to that Tyler Davison lap time, 6/10. That is insanely fast. But this league is getting more and more competitive each season, and Matty does come very close there. As P2 for the Halex man. He takes that Supra to the front row, but it's not enough to overhaul that fastest lap of the 1:58.6. More improvements as well further down. Will Sutters, there you go, he also makes an improvement just ahead of Adib Khan. Tobias makes a big improvement, another newcomer to this season, so there's some fast people coming into the league now, and Tobias is just one of the few. Same with Matty. The top 3 is 2 new drivers and 1, shall I say, well-known name to the league. Let's look further down the grid. Dominic Kabinski in P10, Callum in P11, Ruben Threjo, the second of the 2 brown cars, in P12, and then it is Steinmetzer Hart in 13th, Sam Tiltalar 14th, and Cameron Hill in last place. But Cameron Hill looks like to be yet to set a fast lap, so why don't we watch him, see, is he on a lap time? Or is he on a lap that really represents his pace, a competitive one, let's say? Struggling to find the words there. He certainly doesn't look to be going slow, so this may be an improvement for him. Can't really speak for how the first part of the lap went. Hill just behind Davison. Another improvement for Easton, he moves up to 3rd. Snell as well has improved, but we're just looking at the last place man currently. Can he drag his way up into maybe the top 10? Hill in the Honda at what was originally a Honda test circuit. That is P10 for Cameron Hill. Just been overtaken by Adam Hands. He makes a big improvement into the top 8 for Adam Hands. Look at his teammate, he's doing a bit better. There is Tobias, moves up to the top 3. So big improvement for his Nova teammate, certainly. But yeah, originally this circuit was commissioned to be a Honda test track, and 2 tenths up for Matty. And I believe the circuit is actually co-owned by Honda themselves. So you expect maybe the Hondas to be quick around here? It doesn't really work like that. What I do know, though, is the Honda NSX was actually massively tested at this circuit. The Honda NSX did most of its testing at this circuit, and it was Ayrton Senna who was largely involved with the development of that car. I love the Honda NSX. One of the greatest sports cars ever developed. Nothing wrong with an actually aspirated sports car. It's better to deliver all the power without a turbocharger, in my opinion. But Matty, for what will end up being his last lap of qualifying, round spoon, and then it's down this flat out section over the bridge. Is he making enough of an improvement to overhaul Tyler Davison's provisional pole? He's 1/10 down. Can he gain what he's missing? Snell makes a huge jump up to P2. That is Callum Snell in P2, the front row for the GTR man. Luke Clark as well, P4 for LCR. But can Matty do anything to make an improvement? No, he can't. Tyler Davison was behind him on track. Where is Tyler? Spinning, that's where he is. Hill does make an improvement. So does Hans. Hill and Hans both making improvements. So does Khan. So does Kabinski. Kabinski up into the top 8. Khan is in top 4. It's Hans, P10, P11 goes to Hill in the end. P12 to Witchell. Not the best start for the McLaren for Jake Witchell. Siltalar bumps himself up into P14. Van der Hart finds himself in last place. Ex-teammate on pole. That's right, Super. You and Tyler were... I forgot you two were very briefly teammates. Yes, yeah, ex-teammate on pole. But Tyler Davison looks to be pole position this race. I don't think anyone's... Oh, no, there are people setting a lap. Do excuse me. There are people setting laps. Che Easton and Callum Snell both on a fast lap. Callum Snell the lead of the two. Snell leading these two out very well. Oh, Easton's gone wide. That is Easton's lap over, you'd have to say. But Snell looking for pole position. Can he do it? He's only just off his personal best, but there's still time to be gained through 130R and then up to the Casio Triangle. 2 corners left to go. Snell with everything to gain. Not a huge gap between himself and pole, and the qualifying session's ended. So we will never know. We will never know. Snell might have been able to get that pole position, but the qualifying session was not long enough. I'm sure he will be kicking himself for that one. Not really his fault, but we are getting straight away with the action. No time to dwell on that one, but it is Tyler Davison and Callum Snell, your front row. Matty and Adib Khan, all Halex, second row, and then it's the first of the LCR cars in Luke Clark, P5, good form from him. And then Tobias in P6. P7, Che Easton, and P8, Dominic Kabinski, the first of the 2 Project 1 cars. We are going away for the first time this season. All 15 cars lining up on the grid. 5 red lights. Lights down, away we go, and Tyler Davison looks to have gotten a very poor start there. Matty with an amazing jump on the start there, jumping almost both GTRs. We are 3 wide going into turn 1, 2 wide now. Tyler Davison just about leads him. Matty and Snell both off, so it's Davison and Khan who are the top 2. Luke Clark hasn't lost any positions. Dominic Kabinski has gained massive positions up into P4 for the pole, but it's Tyler Davison who still leads the race after that amazing interesting start, as Matty is off. So is Snell way back to the back of the grid. Khan looks like he can be the man to make any positions here. At the moment he is under pressure from Luke Clark. Luke Clark, obviously a man with a lot of experience, a lot of pace in this league, but Khan holding the torch for Halex on their return to GTRC. He is the lead of the Halex cars. Good to see LCR though running in first and third. Can Khan go for the move though? Or Khan maybe could have gone for the move there, but Davison covered that well. Khan now surely thinking of all the options he can get, tucking into the slipstream that rear end of the GTR in front of him. Will he go left? Will he go right? He's not going anywhere. Davison still leads this race. Davison doing a mighty fine job of it. There's tyre squeals in the background as someone had some kind of off there. Nothing major. And again, Khan really putting the pressure on Davison, but Davison has the comfort of knowing that Luke Clark is right there behind him, Team Northerner, if you will. Davison has been pushed wide though by Khan by the looks of it, and now Davison is missing out on a position. He goes defensive, and there's contact there between Clark and Khan is off. Khan comes back on and takes out Easton in the process, but it is Davison in P1, Kabinski P2. Witchell's moved himself up into third. Clark has lost out positions through that. I believe Clark has lost out big positions through that, but I think the biggest loser of all of that is probably Khan or Easton. Easton's miles back. Easton's P13 now from that unsafe rejoin of Khan, and Witchell spun out the first spin of the season, and it is Jake Witchell. Jake Witchell really struggling to get to grips with that McLaren F1 GTR, and it's really showing with a spin from the Brit. Tyler still leads this race, and it's still an LCR sandwich for first and third. This time, though, it is Dominic Kabinski in P2. Will the battle end any differently for these three? Adib Khan is still just about in the background, but Tyler's on mediums. I've only just noticed that. Tyler is on mediums. Kabinski is on softs. Kabinski opts for the inside. That turns into the outside. Can Davison hold this position? Kabinski goes for the switchback, and Kabinski gets a very, very nice run out of that corner. Kabinski successful with the switchback. They're side by side now, but Davison has a bit more drag coming down this straight, and Kabinski has to settle for second once again. But Kabinski getting much more grip, much more traction on those soft tyres, and now he's going for the move once again. Davison covers it well. Kabinski, though, giving space, giving room and respect, and there goes Kabinski for the race lead. Clark as well looks to be overtaking his teammate. Clark might have a run on Kabinski here. Clark slots in ahead of Davison. So the race lead has changed. Dominic Kabinski is now race leader. Did not win a single time last season. He's in a very nice position to do so now. Kabinski leads the race. Clark is now under pressure from Khan. I think Davison made some kind of mistake there, because Davison is now right in the pack with Matty and Khan. Two Halex cars working together, and Davison loses out position there. Snell as well tries around the outside of Davison. That's not going to work, and Snell goes slightly wide, but he keeps it on track, losing a position to Sutters. Sutters is making his way up the grid now. He is the first of the Hondas on the grid. I think the guy that's really had a poor start this time around is Tobias. He did start quite up there. He's now down with his teammate through no fault of his own, but we'll just jump back to the front, and it is Dominic Kabinski who's still leading this race and pulling out a bit of a gap to Luke Clark. They can afford to take it easy now. Matty has found his way up into P3, and he's got his teammate behind him, so these two can work together and push to get to the front. Tyler Davison in P5 still. He's got Will Sussers for company, and Will looking to find any gap he possibly can. Shove the nose of that Honda up the inside. Very interesting livery for Team 515 this season. Very bold. I like it. It makes it easy to figure out which car's which when you got one that is bright yellow. It looks good. Really stands out. It reminds me a bit of that Aspara-Drink Ari Amamiya RX-7 that was in the GT300 category. It looks like Sutters is getting a push from Snell. Well, there's side-by-side action in the background there by the looks of it. It was Hans and Van der Hart, maybe? No, I think it was Thorejo and Easton. Witchell as well getting involved in that, and I think Easton just picked himself up a penalty there. That was very, very close to a corner cut. He's gotten away with it. Yeah, not the best start for Jake Witchell in the new car for the new team. And Davison making contact with Snell. Davison, Adam Hands almost spun out there. Will Sutters takes the move, and Steinmetz Hart is doing a very nice job from the back of the grid. He's up into P6. Not too bad from the Dutchman. Second season with Project One. P6 from last place is not terrible whatsoever. He's currently putting the former race leader Tyler Davison under all kinds of pressure. Davison, by the way, is on the medium tyre and Hart on the softs. But good job, Stein, you go. Deep Khan and Matty are just putting a little bit of a gap between themselves. Matty has a little bit more pace, and he is on to the back of Luke Clark now. I think there's someone at the back just had a spin. Yeah, that is Hills just had a spin there. So not been an ideal debut for the new Nova driver, and he's gone round again. Not an ideal debut for him. We'll jump back to the front because there seems to be a fight brewing here. Kaminski's lead is not as large as it was several laps ago. And Matty has just made a move on Luke Clark. I did miss that one, sorry, I was looking at my phone. But Matty has made the move on Luke Clark. And now it looks like he might be able to make a move up to first. But Luke Clark is not going to let that one go by the looks of it. Already applying pressure back onto the Romanian. Oh, Dominic Kaminski almost spun out there. Interesting exit from the Project One driver. Matty able to pull out big gains. And I was kind of worried that I wouldn't be able to tell the difference between the Project One and the Halex cars because of how similar the liveries look. I was just about to say I can, but I can't. They both look very white from the front. I can kind of, yeah, I see the difference. They're very similar liveries though, in the sense that they're both white. The front end especially look pretty similar. Oh my word, Kabinski almost off. This is 101 how to throw away a race lead. Kabinski will have dirty tyres now, and again he's sliding on the exit. This is not how you lead a race. And maybe the pressure is getting to him as we are at the halfway point of the race now. Matty applying all kinds of pressure behind him. Bear in mind that after this race, the top 12 will be reversed for the next one. So while they are all battling for first place at the moment, that is last place for the grid for the next race. But Matty right on the back of Kabinski. Not quite. Went wide at 130R. If Matty does get the move on Kabinski, it will be the first time that Halex has led a GTRC race in best part of years, I reckon. Last time they raced in GTRC was WTCC, I believe, which was a long time ago. 2023 that ended. Kabinski, though, is doing a decent enough job to lead this race now. He seems to have gotten himself into one piece. And my cat has just gotten herself stuck underneath her scratching post. Oh no, she's okay now. Oh, right, back. Let's look further back on the grid. Tyler Davison is getting the headlights flashed at him by Will Sutters. Sutters not looking to stick around in P6. And Sutter's making that overtake look easy as Davison gets a very poor exit out of that corner. Snell as well. Snell going for the outside on Sutters. Sutters, though, you would imagine would keep that position. Fierce defender, and there we go. He does keep that position. So Sutters up into P5. Tyler Davison has lost 2 positions out of that move. Adam Hands looks to be the next that might have the chance of overhauling his P7. We're back at the front, though, because it has gotten a lot closer. And again, Kabinski all over the place on the exits of these corners. And Kabinski is given the inside to Matty. Is Matty going to go for the move on 130R? He is going to go for the move on 130R, and I was just about to say, going for a move on 130R is practically suicide for whoever's on the outside of that corner, and that is exactly how that has happened. Contact between the two, and Kabinski is the one that goes off. So Matty does take the race lead. And for added context, by the way, I do think it is stupid if you try and hold it around the outside at 130R. I think that is a very fool thing to... Oh, Adib Khan has just pushed off Dominic Kabinski. And Adib is giving back the position there. But that is perhaps Dominic Kabinski's chances of a race win gone tonight. Luke Clark as well. I don't think Luke Clark is close enough or has the pace to really catch up to Matty in time. So this might be a very easy win for the Romanian. Permitting he does not make a mistake there. But unlucky for Dominic Kabinski. Further back, and all that sliding from Will Sutters in the background there. He's still under pressure from Snell. Davison is just about keeping Hands behind him. There he is, Davison in the purple LCR car and Hands in the black, purple and pink Team Spirit car. A move due to be on soon. Hands is on the softs. Hear the anti-lag going in all those cars, and Tobias is making big progress up to the front. I believe that is him in the background. There is up into P10 for Tobias, just putting pressure on Jake Witchell, the reigning champion, might I add. It's not been a good start for the current champion. Adam Hands around the outside, though. What a move for Adam Hands on Tyler Davison. Goes around the outside, goes the long way, if you will, on Tyler Davison at the Casio Triangle to take P7. And maybe that might end up being all he can settle for this race. In the background, though, Tobias looking for a move on Witchell. Witchell says, no thank you, you are not getting past me. But the tyre wear on that McLaren is not great. Witchell will probably be wishing he had not chosen that McLaren this season. It's going to be a long, rough old season for the Brighton man. Sponsored by Brighton Antiques this season. Team Brown has plenty of other opportunities to gain positions, and Will Sutters has had an off, I believe. Will Sutters was not here last time we saw him. He's here now, P6, just ahead of Adam Hands, and Hands looks to get himself up into the top 6 maybe. First race for a new team. Obviously this season we did see the departure of 2 teams in the form of JTB and Ray Racing, but we got 2 teams in the form of Halex and Nova. Oh, sorry, Nova was there last season. We've got 2 teams in the form of Halex and Team Brown. Your guess is as good as mine what Team Brown means. Well, I do know what Team Brown is, to be fair. It's honestly not worth explaining. It's really not worth it. Will Sutters is doing a decent job, the first of the 2 515 cars, and he is really holding the flag by himself at this point. His teammate in a different dimension. Sutters is doing a relatively decent job keeping up the pace. Side-by-side action for Easton and Tobias, and Easton has just pushed Tobias off there. That's not very nice way to greet someone into the league. That was not good whatsoever from Easton. I'd imagine they probably had some kind of incident there and Easton was not happy about, but that is not how you deal with something. And now I feel like I'm going to have some stewarding to do this season, which is fun. Luke Clark, though, the gap is the same between first and second. Luke Clark has caught up a little bit. Luke Clark has caught up massively in that corner. I'm guessing because Tobias Matty went a bit wide through that corner. So Clark, interesting line from Luke Clark there. He did have a bit of an advantage, but that is falling away. Kabinski is still in third, but I'd imagine he's not happy, considering he was leading this race for quite a while at the start of it. Snell is finding his way up to the front, though. Callum Snell with the best pace at the moment. That is the fastest lap, is 158.7 for Callum. So he is making big gains up to the front, but maybe too little too late. You have to say, had he not got involved with that turn 1 collision, this might be a completely different story for the Brit. But he is still making his way up there. Could potentially have a podium on the cards for him here. P4, I think, is the more realistic one to go for Callum, though. But right now, it is all Matty who is currently leading this race. It hasn't really had a challenge since that contact between Kabinski and Khan. And again, the contact between Kabinski and himself. I well and truly believe that racing is a non-contact sport, so if any of this gets brought up into the steward's office, makes it sound posh. If any of this arrives in my DMs, then you're going to know my stance on it. It's going to be, I'm not a big fan of contact. However, I do believe with the overtake between Matty and Kabinski, at first glance, more on the side of Kabinski. Matty was ahead during that corner. Kabinski was not. Khan seems to have dropped off the back of Kabinski a little bit there. And Callum maybe with the chance for a P4. Tyler Davison, though, starting on pole, running this race on the mediums, he's not done a terrible job whatsoever, though, to be fair. And it does put him in a very nice position for the second race, being that he will be on the softs when most of the grid is on the medium tyre. So it's a nice place to be starting from. P4, I believe it is as it stands. Your pole sitter for the next race, as it stands, is Steinman de Hart. He will be leading out the front row to Ruben Thurejo. Stein. Oh, saying that, Stein looks to be making a move on Ruben Thurejo. Maybe it will be Ruben Thurejo that's lead, but we will jump up to the front, and Halex back to GTRC and back to winning ways already, with Matty taking the win. Luke Clark with a P2 for LCR, and then P3 for Dominic Kabinski. What could have been for the pole. Khan takes 4th, Snell in 5th, and then it's Sutters in P6. Adam Hands P7, and then Tyler Davison drag race the line with Che Easton, but it's Easton 9th, Davison 8th, Witchell 10th, and then Ruben Thurejo does get 11th in the end, just ahead of Steinman de Hart, who will be the pole sitter for the next race. And then Sam Siltelaar brings up the rear for P13. Got 2 DNFs from this one. I'd imagine we'll be in the next race, fingers crossed. There is your race winner, up 2 positions, Matty. But I cannot imagine, here is the results, but I cannot imagine these will stand. There was quite a few incidents in this race. So if these are the finishing results, then here is your top 8 with Matty in first, Luke Clark P2, Dominic Kubinski P3, and then it's Adib Khan P4, P5 Callum Snell, P6 Will Sutters, P7 goes to Adam Hands, and P8 to Tyler Davison, P9 Che Easton, P10 Jake Witchell, P11 goes to Ruben Threjo, and then 12th is Stein Van der Hart, and then P13 for Sam Siltala, and then the 2 DNFs with Cameron Hill and Tobias in last place. But these will probably not be the final finishing positions. Again, that looks like a very scruffy race, which is bound to happen with so many new drivers on the grid, as well as a couple returning drivers who have a bit of a reputation in this league, I think it's fair to say. But all will be shown soon. You'll get the updated result next week. But everyone who did not use mediums in that race has to use them in this race, and that is because, put simply, race 3 there is forecast some rain, which will be exciting. And there we go, we do have all the drivers entered now. Let's talk about Ruben for a moment here. Not a great start with his new team and his new teammate. Team Brown not really hit the ground running. Ruben Threjo, we know he can do better, but how much of it do you reckon is the track limiting him more so than anything else, really? It's the car limited by the track, and the car itself is already limited. So I don't expect this form to continue for long for Ruben Threjo, but not a great start for the Spaniard. Certainly not a great start for Team Brown. We saw that spin from Jake Witchell. Not an amazing start as well from the Constructors' Champions with Team Spirit. Again, the team with a completely new driver lineup, so it might as well be a completely new team. But not a brilliant start for those two. I'm sure Adam Hands and Che Easton will be improving soon, though. Dominic Kubinski, though, not too bad from him. Did do very well at the start of the race, and then obviously with several bits of contact dropped back. And that was his race over pretty much. One thing you can say though is at least it was not Stein this time round who killed him. We are just waiting for the second race to start. The grid is being set, as it usually does. Jake Witchell. Weird sight to see him in the McLaren. So used to seeing the LCR cars as the McLarens, but LCR is in GTR this time. And McLaren is all Team Brown. Luke clearly happy with the P2, doing donuts at the exit of turn 1. In some leagues this would get you a massive penalty. DGTS. Oof, sorry, can't be saying that. Cannot be slagging off other leagues when I'm a commentator for GTRC of all things. But you know, that was a thing. That was a thing. Why? There we go. Stein Van der Hart leading out this race. We got 5 red lights, and we are away. Jake Witchell with an amazing start. Jake Witchell with an absolutely insane start, already going for first place. But Ruben Threjo is the man out in front. That's a good start from both Team Brown cars. Someone's wide in the background. But it is Witchell and Threjo who lead out this race in the McLarens. And now it's all about doing the best you can to preserve that lead, but Davison is already pushing his way up into 4th. Davison on the superior tyres, trying it around the outside of Van der Hart, and Van der Hart finding out the hard way that is going to work out for Davison. Now Davison doing his best to push up to the front 2.
He's got two Team Spirit GTRs behind him, both on the medium tyre. But for Tyler Davison, does not take a genius to realise that this may be hook, line and sinker for him. Just has to overtake two cars and it's home free by the looks of it. To my knowledge, there is no one else on the soft tyres near him. The Project 1 cars are fighting there. Kabinski makes the move on Van der Hart, and now Van der Hart's under pressure from Luke Clark. Clark not going for the move 130R, but Van der Hart certainly is. And again, is Kabinski going to get pushed off at 130R? Again, he is. This time though, Van der Hart plays it fair and gives the position back, but contact between Kabinski and Clark, and Kabinski is out of that one. Clark, I think, just had too much of an overspeed going into that corner, and he is waiting. So again, good sportsmanship shown from Luke Clark, but that's not a great way to start off their races. So Ruben Thoreyjo still leads this one. Tyler Davison has just made the move on Jake Witchell. Has he? Jake Witchell going defensive once again for that P2, and Davison just about hangs around the outside, but he's not going to be able to do it this time. And Shea Easton sneaks it up the inside of that one, thinking, you know what, I'll take that position. Davison stays just ahead of Easton, and Easton tries once again. It's not enough though. Davison later on the brakes with more grip on those tyres. Surely Davison can get it this time, but Easton's going for the move once again. Easton is not going to hang around and watch another driver on the soft tyres in the same car as him pull away. Davison not doing too. Oh, wide in the background for Callum Snell. Snell keeps it in one position though, one piece, sorry, should I say. He's now got Steimer to Hart behind him. Thoreyjo is the man out in front. In the Team Brown car with the Estrella Galicia sponsor. Sorry, that's not Estrella Galicia. I think it is, I'm not too sure. It would make sense if it was Estrella Galicia, considering that Ruben is Galician. Again, Witchell with the straight line speed of that McLaren, just pulling away in time for the corner, and Ruben Thoreyjo's gone wide. Tyler Davison makes the move on Jake Witchell. I think Witchell a little bit thrown off by Thoreyjo going wide. Davison though pulls back again, and Witchell's been given the lead by his teammate. They've now swapped position, and Thoreyjo's decided, I'm going to be rear gunner for this one. Shea Easton once again trying it around the outside of Tyler Davison. Easton, that's not going to work. What is going to work though is Davison going up the inside of Thoreyjo, and Thoreyjo has to defend like his life depends on it. Is he going to get pushed from Easton? Easton also sees the move, and Davison goes a little bit wide. Davison cannot hold it around the outside of Easton, and Easton finally gets that move done. Now Adam Hans looks like he has a chance on Davison, but Davison should be able to hold that one pretty easily. In fact, Callum Snell was getting himself involved. Snell moves past Hans. It's Davison not finding this as easy as I thought he would on the tyre advantage, but still just only P4, really struggling around the cars around him. There's no other soft runners up here, is there? Yeah, the nearest soft runner is Sam Siltala. So Davison is the only man on the softs who can really go for this win at the moment. Davison is really finding it more difficult than he should, I feel. Again, Easton battling with Davison, and Easton stays ahead. Oh no, Easton is overtaken by Davison. Davison, surely he can break away now. Surely this is it for Tyler Davison. He is already gaining it quickly on Ruben Thorejao. Ruben Thorejao really struggling to lug that car around this circuit. So is Jake Witchell. Expect them both to be doing a lot better than they are, but Thorejao is finding it so difficult to drag that medium tyres McLaren around Suzuka. And there goes Davison all the way up into P2 already. This is a story of Thorejao against his former team. That is Thorejao's replacement overtaking him. Thorejao was brutally and quite evilly dropped by LCR in horrible circumstances. It was terrible what they did to him, absolutely horrible. It was like he was down and they kicked him like an orphan child. Luke Clark, you should feel ashamed. That did not happen, by the way. Basically, Ruben wanted to stick with the McLaren, but Luke did not. So they split up, they divorced. It was horrible. Che Easton is now under a bit of pressure from Matty. Matty making big gains up the grid in this reverse grid. While all these guys are tripping over each other, Matty has managed to find a little slice for his own. Sometimes I really do question what I'm saying. I don't even notice that I'm just saying complete utter bollocks. Side by side in the background, though, Snell and Tobias. Tobias, they both go wide. Oh, don't spin it, Tobias. Yeah, they both went wide there. Snell, really the cause of that one. Unfortunately, they've lost lots of positions from that mistake. Matty, where is Khan? There's Khan. Lukey's not really having a good one at the moment, I think it's fair to say. Neither is Luke Clark. Luke Clark, if you want to know how to beat Luke Clark, just give him a set of medium tyres, honestly. All of last season, you just knew that you could count Luke Clark out if he was on the medium tyres. We'll look back at the front. Jake Witchell is under pressure from Tyler Davison. And maybe this... Oh, excuse me. Maybe this is where the race lead changes hands. And saying that, this is the strong part of the circuit for that McLaren. The only strong part of the circuit for the McLaren. It's the only part where there's a straight. Could you imagine how good this circuit would have been without that Casio triangle? Essentially 2 corners and a shit ton of straights. Must have been insane, and we've just lost Callum. Which you'd have to say is going to lose that position soon. Which not having a good start in his Team Brown McLaren. This would be a good start if he can keep this win, but it's looking less and less likely. Even on equal tyres, I would say it would be a difficult task for him to keep Tyler Davison behind him. And surely Davison... I've been saying this for the whole 6 laps of this race. Surely Davison makes light work. But at the moment, he's not been. All he's got to do is find a corner where he can sneak it around the outside. He'll have infinitely more grip than Jake Witchell. Following behind, this is still the battle for the race lead. Davison on Witchell, and Davison's had a very nice exit there. He's going to go for the inside at the hairpin. You certainly saw the cogs turning in his mind there. He knew that that was his chance, well, Witchell also covered that very nicely. The challenge really battling a McLaren is the fact that the McLaren has to brake so much earlier than you to make any of these corners. So Davison has to consciously be aware that he can't brake at his normal point because he'll end up pushing off the McLaren, but then in doing so it kind of sets off his rhythm to be able to set up a normal overtake as he usually would. And by the time you come out of the corners, you get onto a straight, and I mean that McLaren pulls off even when you're in the slipstream. He's going for the move into 130R, but Witchell's let that one through. Witchell did not see any point in fighting that one, but yeah, it's a difficult old thing battling the McLaren, I think it's fair to say, even though in theory it has an advantage, you know, because the McLaren's not as good. It's difficult to battle a car which is that much slower in such weird places because it really offsets the rhythm of your line. And that's what racing's all about. It's all about consistency, it's all about rhythm, and if you can't keep up good consistent rhythm, then you're going to struggle all round. Oh, Matty just about found the inside there, but he's lifted off, let that one go. Easton flashes the hazards just to say thank you. And this fight goes on for a bit longer. I do love watching races from this camera because you get a real perspective of what the driver's actually having to deal with. And Matty has fallen back a little bit through the S's. Again, as I was saying, racing's all about keeping up that concentration, keeping up the rhythm, and the moment that contact happened in turn 2, the rhythm disappears and he struggles altogether. But you can get that rhythm back through the Degners, and now it's time to mount another attack. Is there another battle we can watch from this camera? I probably will not be Khan on Siltala. Someone who's had a very quiet race though is Will Sutters. He's not had a good time here. Simon Hart's just gone extremely wide there, but Will Sutters has not had a great race so far. I think it's fair to say. I'm not really too sure what's happened. I'll be honest, I'm not too sure what's happened. Maybe he's just been slow. Maybe he got himself into an incident. But he's really not had a fun time on the medium tyre. Everyone's kind of spread out a bit now. Dominic Kubinski is serving a half-second penalty. Someone we haven't really spoken about a little bit is Sam Siltala. He's making a decent recovery. Starting in last place. Well, no, sorry, starting in 13th. Sam Siltala. He's making a relatively decent recovery. He's on the soft tyres, everyone else on the mediums. So that will help. Can Siltala get his way up into the top 6? It's feasible. Certainly feasible. He will have to get through 2 cars to do so. Both of those 2 cars having pretty decent pace around here, I think it's fair to say. But he's dealing with a deep Khan at the moment, so Khan having a bit more pace than I thought he would on those medium tyres. Deep really putting the pressure on the soft runner. But I say something that has gotten a lot closer, it is the battle between Easton and Matty. Che Easton just having to put on the anchors a little bit. Understand that he might not catch Jake Witchell up front, so he's got to focus a little bit more on the guy behind him. That guy being race winner Matty, having a pretty decent debut to the league. He joins a long list of drivers who've won on their debut. Jake Witchell being one of them. Tyler Davison being another. Myself commentating right now is one of them. And I believe Che Easton is one as well. Both debut winners, both fighting for the final spot on the podium. Who will take the cake? 2 laps remaining after this one. it doesn't seem that either of them will be able to catch up to the top two. Oh, Matty running a little bit wide there, I think it's fair to say. Certainly, poo would have been spread everywhere down his trousers. Oh, that's a bit gross. That's gross. I could have thought of a better analogy. That is one. Matty may not be in Team Brown, but his trousers are. That's still a bit gross. that's still very gross. I'm just going to stop talking about poo, really. Well, that's probably a good idea. Easton is able to pull out a little bit more of a gap thanks to that. Thorejo is doing a nice old job keeping that P5. Looks like he's not had the easiest time so far this race, and he's doing a nice job holding on to P5, but he will have Adam Hands putting all kinds of pressure onto the back of him soon. And that will not be good news for the Spaniard. Might be able to make a lunge here. Not quite. Come on, give me some kind of battle. I think those are the two that would battle. Thorejo having to defend against Hands, and Thorejo, again, you're going to get used to me saying this season, but that McLaren is really going to struggle at most of the tracks on the calendar. Now it looks like Hands maybe has a very good chance of catching him, but this is the advantage that the McLaren gets in the sense that it absolutely takes off on the straights. Oh, Hands really was thinking about an overtake there. Did not think that Thorejo was going to stay that defensive, and in the end Thorejo did stay that defensive. Hands just having to change positions change directions last second. We are on to the final lap now. Ruben Thorejo still holding on to P5. Adam Hands is looking for the move. Oh, he's gone wide at turn one, and that, I think, might be all she wrote for Ruben Thorejo and Adam Hands. Saying that though, Hands has pulled out. Oh, he's closed the gap very quickly after that accident. Bloody hell, I can't speak. He's closed the gap very quickly again after the mistake, and now Hands is all over the back of Thorejo. If he wants to make the move, he's got to make it soon, because the McLaren's best section of the circuit is coming up after this. Adam Hands is all over the back of the Spaniard, and this looks to be his chance going into the hairpin. But again, not close enough. In fact, Dominic Kubinski is saying, get a move on. Kubinski has caught up to the two of them now. But as I was explaining with Matty, it's, with Davison, it's very difficult to battle a McLaren because the line that they take is so different to yours. It's difficult to gauge what they're doing at any given time and how to combat it. Like, again, you see there, Hands caught up and then had to lift off again because of the line that Thorejo took there, and Kubinski looks like he might be able to get the overtake on Hands. We will jump to the front. Tyler Davison comes home after a much more difficult win than I thought it would be. But he comes home, he takes home his first win of the season and LCR's first win of the season with the fastest lap on the last lap. Jake Whitshall just about holds on to P2, and as Che Easton has gone off into the pit lane and he's Austin Powers himself in the pit lane, that is race over for Che Easton. How has he done that? How has he done that? Che Easton has completely bottled it. He went from holding on to P3 that whole race to coming home P12. How has that happened? How has Che Easton done that? I've only ever seen that happen in a race once, and that was me doing that back in 2019 on GT Sport, back when I first started out racing.
My God. How has he done that? There we go. Tyler Davison is your race winner. Jake Witchell, P2. And it is Matty who does get on the podium in the end because, my God, what did Easton do that? I just saw the car spinning. I don't know how he spun. I don't think anyone knows how he spun, but Matty takes home P3, and then Ruben Thorejo with the P4. Adam Hans P5. He did not get overtaken by Dominic Kubinski in the end, but it was close. Kubinski P6. Tobias takes home a P7. Then it's Sam Siltalar with P8, starting last place, so not too bad from the Finn. Adib Khan, P9 for the Indian man. And then it is P10 for Will Sutters, P11 for Luke Clark, and Jay Easton, after whatever that was, in P12. But he will be starting pole on the next race. So I guess that's one positive to look at for Jay Easton. And then it is P13 for Steimer de Hart, and then Hill and Snell both with DNFs. But what a weird end to that race. Again, I've seen that happen before, but it was me. And when it happened, my car was so long that when it got stuck, it was genuinely so stuck that I had to get someone to push me into the pits to be unstuck. I was stuck there for about 30 seconds. It was not fun. The game would not reset me, but never did I ever expect anyone to do the same thing that I did 6 years ago now. Complete shock to me. I'm genuinely very surprised. I thought that's a move so stupid that it would never happen again, but there you go. Jay Easton never ceases to amaze us, eh? But we are, for the final race of tonight, in the wet conditions. The rain has come. It sets over the island of Japan, the island of Honshu, should I say, of the Japanese mother islands, and it makes Suzuka a paddling pool. Paddling pool? Is that what it's called? A wet swimming pool. I don't know. Well, some other analogy for it being wet. And it's really going to be a game of should you be on the inters or should you be on the wets. I'll let you in on the secret intel for anyone who's watching. Go on the wet tyres. The intermediates I don't think are worth it. I really don't think are worth it. And if you're on the intermediates, you might end up regretting it. At the moment, it looks like the only man on the intermediates is Adam Hans, and I am half tempted to message him and say, look, mate, don't go on the inters. And I think he's realised. You do not want to be on those intermediate tyres. The wets, these conditions just favour the wets. It used to be on GT where you would just be on the intermediates regardless. It didn't matter what conditions it was, just be on the intermediates, because when it does start to dry up a little bit, that's the tyre you want to be on. But now I feel with the new physics, the wet tyres have become a little bit better, which is nice. It's nice. Certainly something you want to see. More tyre variety. It appears that Easton got a tank slapper through the final corner and then got caught by Matty on the way. Then got Austin Powers in the pit lane. Not an ideal way to finish a race, I think it's fair to say. We're waiting for the third race to begin. Just setting the grid. And predictions, I feel like Sutters is going to do quite well in this one. The car is pretty strong in the wet. Sutters, very skilled driver in the wet. So I get a feeling that this is going to be quite a good one for Will. Time will tell though. I believe the race will be starting now, I think. Judging by Easton with his hazards on and then driving off the track. Yep. But here is the grid starting out for the final time tonight. Final time for the first round of the third season. So
pressure away for the rolling start. Che Easton leads out the grid. He leads out his former teammate, Clark. They are away. The GTRs with pretty decent traction off the start there. Will Sutters, though, is not too far behind as they all go down into turn one. Very cautiously, I'm sure. No point in making any big risks, but saying that, Adib Khan has already gone for the overtake on Will Sutters. And Luke Clark is all over the back of Che Easton saying, get a move on. They're all taking it very cautiously, I think it's fair to say. Oof, slide on the exit there for Che Easton. He is running traction control, and I mean, I can't even criticise you for it in these conditions. Will Sutters is not, but that car has zero torque. Who is on the intermediates? Is it anyone? Has anyone made the blunder and gone in the inters? No. Thank God. Oh, Luke Clark, I think, might have had some kind of mistake there because Will Sutters has overtaken him and the gap is quite large between first and second. But again, this is what I was saying about Sutters. He has a very nice chance in this race to do well for himself. Easton going way off the racing line, trying to find any group he possibly can. Obviously, with the racing line in the wet, when the track gets wet, it kind of pushes up all of the rubber and the chemicals and what have you that have been pushed onto the racing line. Pushes it back up when the track's wet, which means that your best chance of finding grip is off of the racing line, 9 times out of 10. It's all about where the dry line forms, though. As the track starts to get drier, you just want to be on that line that's dry, and most of the time that is the racing line, so it's a bit of a toss-up. Will Sutters looks to be very strong at the moment in the Rain X car. He knew. And Luke Clark again under pressure from Adib Khan. Even Sick, nice to see you in the chat, mate. I'm sure you'll be happy to hear that your team's done pretty well. Matty got a win on the first race and then he got a P3, courtesy of Chubbs. Chubbs was running P3 in the last race, but then Austin Powers himself in the pit lane. He got a tank slapper and then spun out by Matty and got stuck in the pit lane and went down to 12th. But that does mean he was starting on pole for this one, so it could have been worse for him. But at the moment, it's Steve Khan, the leader of the Halex cars, currently running in third. He is keeping Luke Clark behind him. It's treacherous conditions though, and it seems that the best of the drivers are currently doing best on track. Jake Witchell is doing a decent enough job. He will be held back a little bit by the fact that he is in a McLaren, which is not a great track for this, as he almost spins it out there. It's happened to me as well, Sick. I said, it happened to me at this exact track, and I said I'd never thought in 6 years I'd ever see it happen again, but it's happened the exact same way it happened to me back in 2019. Oof. Will Sutters, there we go. I thought there would be a move coming on soon. Will Sutters all over the back of Che Easton, and now Sutters does take the lead ahead of Easton. Sutters making that one look easy, and Sutters, as I will remind you guys, is the one I reckon will win this race. I did predict it. Why Team Brown isn't brown, that's disappointing. Team Brown's brown car, I believe, is a special livery. I don't know why. Well, we're joking saying that Witchell had a mental breakdown for about a day, made everything brown, and then realised how dumb it looks. So that's probably the actual answer. Will Sutters takes the race lead, and he's already disappearing up the road. Again, it's a very strong car in the wet, that Honda NSX. It's naturally aspirated, as I was saying earlier. It's not got, well, I don't think it's got any torque whatsoever, and because it's mid-engine, you've got all of the weight over the rear wheels, much more so than any other cars on the grid other than the McLaren. It's just a very strong car in these conditions. It's the car you want, really, for wet weather conditions. So we might see 3 different winners tonight. in the form of Matty, Davison and Sutters potentially. Adib Khan, again, still under pressure from Luke Clark, so Khan not really able to drop Clark after overtaking him. And Tobias is doing a very nice job as well, might I point out. Not had a brilliant night so far tonight for the Dutchman, but he is pushing his way back up the grid. He's finally starting to put a gap between himself and Witchell. Ooh, sliding on the exit from Tobias though. But look at this gap that Sutters is pulling out. Again, as I was saying, these are the conditions he loves. I guarantee you he could have done this last season in the Supra as well. This is really where Will Sutters' talent begins to show, when it becomes wet. It's a little bit soggy out. This is what you get from a British driver though. They do say that the Brits and the Japanese are the best in wet weather because that is what they have to deal with the most. Oh, Luke Clark almost spinning out Tobias there, but Tobias does make a move there on Clark. I'd imagine Clark had some kind of mistake, because Clark has also lost out of position to Witchell. Witchell almost spinning out there. That McLaren looks like an absolute handful around this circuit. He's not had an easy time whatsoever. I mean, that's shown completely by wherever Ruben Trejo is down in P10. I don't think we need to talk about that wet race. I was in an all-wheel drive car, bear in mind. I was in an all-wheel drive car for a wet race, and I binned it on the final lap on like the second to last corner and lost the race win. and I like to try and forget about it, but Sick's always one to remind me. It's been 3 years, Sick. Let it go. Please, let me have a break. Easton is under all kinds of pressure from Khan, and Tobias is putting pressure on Khan himself. And Khan, is he going to go wide? He's going wide. He just about keeps it in one piece. He has lost a position there, but Khan so close to death there for Adib Khan. And Tobias is really feeling the benefit that Will Sutters has as well, in that car is a weapon when the track gets wet. Can he go around the outside of Che Easton? Of course he can. That turns into the inside for the next of the S's. Makes it look easy, does Tobias. Tobias up into second, so it's a Honda 1-2. This track is really showing, or this round, shall I say, is showing all of the strengths and the weaknesses of the cars this season. I did remember that, yeah, only 4 cars were on the wet tyres for that GTRC race that me and Sick are referencing. There were only 4 cars on the grid that actually started on the wets. That has not happened this time. They're all on the wets this time. I feel like everyone's learned since then. Khan, though, with some kind of mistake there by the looks of it. Oh, Khan, don't spin! Lukey's out! Lukey, no! Oh, and... Lukey really not having a good time in these conditions, and I don't really know whether Lukey's good in the rain or not. I've never seen him race in the rain. But unfortunate for Lukey. And now that puts Jake Witchell up into third. Doing a very good job in that McLaren. A car that has looked so poor around this circuit. And I think the easiest way to reference a McLaren's performance in GTRC is always look where Ruben is, because we know how good Ruben is. He's a GTRC champion. If he's quite far down, you know that it's not doing good for the circuit. Saying that though, Jake Witchell is the reigning champion at the moment, and he's had a difficult time all night. Suzuka is not the circuit for the McLaren. So what it is the circuit for is the Honda NSX and Tobias. Oh, Tobias! I was just about to say, he is catching up to Will Sutters, but commentators curse. Goes wide at turn 1. Keeps it in one piece though, luckily. Tyler Davison and Luke Clark in 5th and 6th. LCR boys running well together. Davison doing a really nice job in these wet conditions. You're seeing a bit of what I was explaining earlier, that sometimes the fast line in the wet is off the racing line, and he's really trying to find all the grip he can off that racing line. He's doing a good job of it, catching up to Che Easton very quickly, and looks like he might make very quick and easy work of the Brit here. Yeah, GTRC is too sweaty now, Sick. Honestly, you'd never see me racing in this again, because my pace is about the same pace as maybe Stein on a good day. And Stein's not done too well tonight. Oh, Will Sussers with the penalty. I like to see how competitive this league has gotten lately. We went an entire season last season. You'd never believe this. Well, you would, because you see the stewards chat. But we went the whole season without a single penalty last season. I don't think it's going to stay that way this season, because race 1 was very scruffy, but this league, standards have gotten better. That's one thing for certain. The standards have gotten better, and the pace of the drivers is probably the quickest it has been since, I don't know, season 9, season 10 WTCC, back when it was Ridwan, Tyler Davison, Will Sutters, Joe, all them lot. Certainly this is one of the quickest grids we've had. We're in for a pretty decent season of what could be the last ever season of this format. But it is all Honda up front for the former Honda test circuit, the track where this car was developed. It just makes sense for a Honda NSX to win here. It just makes sense. Jake Witchell still not really dropping Che Easton. I think Easton's picked up the pace a little bit, because now there is a McLaren train, as what Witchell was dubbing it earlier. One McLaren followed by 3 GTRs. Certainly puts the GTR in McLaren GTR, I think it's fair to say. Or F1 GTR, should I say. God forbid I call it the wrong name. You know, like how I always get Will Sutters and Jake Witchell mixed up, even though they sound nothing like each other. Ooh, Che Easton, slow exit out of Degner 2, and I think that is a position loss against Tyler Davison. Keep it clean, a little bit of door banging. Tyler has made that move. Got better traction out of the hairpin, and that's all she wrote. Ooh, Easton running it very wide. And Easton's actually found more grip on that wide line. So I say that's all she wrote, but found the grip on the wide line and made that one look easy. It's all about traction in these conditions. If you can find the line with the best traction, then you can be the quickest. Speaking of the quickest, it seems to be Tobias at the moment on track. Driver new to the league. He is really announcing himself in some fashion, taking on GTRC champion Will Sutters in the conditions that Sutters loves so much. Sutters not using traction control, as is very aware from the shaking out of corner exits, and maybe he should take a lesson from Tobias that traction control may be necessary. This is a battle for the race lead, and these two, regardless of how quick Tobias is compared to Sutters, these two have absolutely put themselves in a league of their own at the moment. Insane how quick these two are compared to the rest of the grid. And Sutters, you'd imagine, won't be able to hold on to this one for too long. But this is Will Sutters we're talking about. He does defend very aggressively and very well. Tobias, on the other hand, driver we don't know too much about. Oh, sliding on the exit of the S's, but he makes it in one piece. Again, all of this is just Tobias announcing himself to GTRC. We're all still learning about this driver, and
certainly these saves, the pace in the wet, surely this is a good sign. This is a driver with a lot of skill. Can he use that skill to his advantage? Is it more skill than Will Sutter's? That is the question. Maybe it's not a case of who has more skill, but who just right now is better. Right now it looks to be Tobias. He is all over the back of that Honda. Sutter's doing his best to keep that position. They're both sliding all over the place, but it's like a knife's edge for these two. They look so on edge, but they are so much quicker than everyone else. Maybe that is just what you need to do. Sutter's takes the inside, Tobias for the outside. No way Tobias can hold it around the outside. We've seen what happens to drivers who do that, and again, there we go. Tobias has played it smart. Kavinsky, on the other hand, he tried holding it around the outside of Matty, and that didn't work out well for him. Off the circuit, Kavinsky went. And the same story when holding it around the outside of... Come back to me for that one. Stein, that's it, Stein. So that is what you're supposed to do. You're not Fernando Alonso. Only Fernando Alonso can do that. I wonder what Spanish for the goat is. El Goat. Will Sutter's is actually doing a very nice job controlling this. It's fair to say other drivers would have folded by this point. Sutter's driving as if the pressure isn't even there. Tobias is all over the circuit. You see how much his pace has just disappeared since being stuck behind Sutter's. I know we should sign him for the drift team. He is all over the place, but he's doing such a good job controlling that car, I think it's fair to say. Tobias seriously impressing on his debut. And Sutter's goes defensive. Tobias tries it around the outside. Sutter's was not expecting that one. Tobias says, look, you brake way too early, mate. I'm going for that outside. Once again, cannot get the move done. Sliding again from Tobias. Holy! How is he keeping this car in one piece? If Tobias wins this one, it is fully deserved with this insane car control. He's looking at the circuit right now and he sees it as a skid pad. There's a chance for him to have some fun rather than drive fast. Well, he's doing it while driving fast too. He's weaving all over the place behind Sutter's, really saying, get a move on or I'm going to take you. He's running out of laps to do it though. But if he does manage to do it, he'll be doing it in style. 2 laps to go now. It looks to be Tobias with the best time, or best pace out of the two of them. Sutter's with the best chance of doing it. Oh, Tobias has gone extremely wide there. And there we go. We saw him make a mistake like that earlier on in this race, and he's done it again. So as quick as Tobias is, I don't think he really has the consistency to do it lap by lap, but wow. Yeah, lap 10, drifting past Sutter's around the outside. I want to see it. He almost did it on the last lap. That is insane how fast he's sending that car through the corners. Maybe Sutter's learning a thing or two. He was sliding himself through there. But these conditions are about as treacherous as they get, really. And Tobias is making it look easy. Sutter's, on the other hand, isn't making any errors, but he's not also doing it very flashy. Davison in the background there has a penalty. Davison, you'd imagine, will lose out to Easton maybe after this penalty? Yes. And these drivers, I mean, these guys, watching these, you realise, oh yeah, they're driving in the rain. Watching the guys up front, it might as well be dry for them lot. They are taking insane risks, but getting insane rewards out of it. Quiet race though for Jake Witchell. Not really much else you can do in a McLaren. You know, I don't want to push a rhetoric and saying, oh, the McLaren is terrible, but the McLaren is terrible. It is the worst car on the grid, and it's not even close. And at a track like this, there's no hope for it. But he is doing a nice job, on for his second podium of the night. Have to give credit where it's due to the reigning champion. Who, if he had a better race in the first race, you'd certainly say he's in a nice position for leading this championship. But we are on the final lap now. Will Sutters once again has Tobias giving him company, and Tobias again goes wide. Maybe this is not it for him. P3 in the McLaren, it is insane at Suzuka, but he got P2 in the last race, sick. Like, Witchell is actually doing a pretty decent job considering the car. Tobias going wide again at turn 1 into turn 2. All Sutters has to do is keep it in one piece, and this will be a race win for Will Sutters, one that took him quite a while to get last season. He did not get his first win very early on. He's going to get it in the first rounds this season. Just keep it in one piece, Will. My winner, though, is Tobias, though, because he's absolutely chucking that car into these corners and making it look easy. Insane pace from him earlier on. The way he's driving that car is very funny to watch. Bringing that round like it's nothing. Like it's almost set up for drifting. Oh, Matty with a penalty there, but I think he'll be fine, considering how far behind Luke Clark is. Kaminski in 8th. We'll look at the rest of the grid for once. Okay, it's not very interesting. We'll look at the race leaders again, and Tobias once again has caught up a bit more. It's not enough. Tobias may be the people's winner after this one. But in the end, the actual on-track winner is Will Sutters. Or is he? Tobias is catching massively after 130R. He's absolutely sending it on the curb. It's not going to happen. It's not. Or is it going to happen? Hard on the brakes for Tobias. There's contact between the two of them. He got his nose in, and Tobias now looks to be able to make a move on Will Sutters. Will Sutters, though, covers it well. Tobias had the traction. He had the braking, but it's not enough. Will Sutters just about takes that win. Tobias P2, and then it is Jake Witchell in P3. Jesus Christ, Tobias, where have you been? Tyler Davison P4. Jay Easton in P5. Matty takes home a P6. Matty's probably leading this championship, I feel. It's Luke Clark in P7, Dominic Kaminski P8, Adib Khan P9, Adam Hans P10, Ruben Thorejo P11, and then Stein Van der Haar in 12. Oh my word. Tobias almost made it happen, almost, but not quite. It was very, very close at the end there between those two. Siltala in 13th, another driver you expect to do pretty well in these conditions, being from Finland. It's not been the case, unfortunately. And Sam Siltala comes round, final corner, 13th. And then finally Cameron Hill, the last of the Honda drivers, the last of the grid. Brings that car home. Not as well as his teammate, I think it's fair to say. But he takes the win. Finnish rain is frozen. That's a very good point, actually. It doesn't rain in Finland, it snows. So, Will Sutters, well, he did take the win there, and it was a good win, to be fair. All credit to Tobias. That was insane from the Dutchman. His fastest lap, so much quicker than anyone else could even dream of. And he really drove Sutters all the way to the line there. But nonetheless, it's a Honda 1-2. And then third place goes to Jake Witchell. As Sick was saying, it is pretty impressive for Witchell to come third in the McLaren at Suzuka, and certainly second place before that. It does put him in a good place in the championship. Let's not count out Witchell, but I think championship leader is either going to be Tyler Davison, who's there in fourth, or Matty in sixth. Che Easton finished fifth in the end, and then Luke Clark with the P7. Dominic Gabinski did find his way into the top 8 in the end. It was Adib Khan with P9, Adam Hans, P10. Ruben Thorejo, again, that is really where that McLaren should have been in P11, really highlighting the display that Witchell did do in that car. Then Steinmetzer Hart just behind Thorejo in P12. Sam Siltalar takes home P13, and then 14th place goes to Cameron Hill on his debut. Not a great debut for Cameron, but give him a chance and he will make better gains for the rest of the season, as anyone does in this league. No matter how poor your debut is, you will do better, just as well as no matter how good your debut is, you could do worse. And Tobias and Matty, I feel like their debut were especially brilliant tonight. Both of them really setting a good impression. Matty with the recovery after a turn 1 incident in race 1, just about taking the win. Unlucky that Dominic Gabinski could not have been a part of that one, but Adib Khan ended up pushing him off, and that was Gabinski's race done. And Matty really had it easy for the rest of that race once Gabinski was knocked out. And then Tobias, again, I mean, you just had to use your eyes to realise why I think he had a good debut there. That was incredible from the Dutchman. But as always, everyone, thank you for watching. It's been an interesting start to the season, and it can only go up from here. We're doing this every week for the next 7 weeks, I believe. 7 or 8 weeks. So join us this time next Wednesday for more exciting 90s Japanese GT car racing.